Okay, if everyone has gotten their snacks and gone to the restroom, we'll roll right into it. We've got a fairly large salon this month, 32 images. So Bob Shoemaker is going to be our salon judge. So I'll just hand the floor over to him if you want to give a brief introduction about yourself. Oh, and just in case, I've got a clock here just so that you can. Okay, and how's the lighting? Is it okay? I'll control it from here. So you just say next, and I'll just okay. So
Okay.
Hold on here. Almost forgot.
Here we go.
For the recording.
Yep.
Okay.
And like Mike said, Mark, my name is Bob Shoemaker. Been in the camera club area in town here for 35 years, probably. I've been a member of Minnesota Valley Photography Club since nearly its beginning. Also been a member of Minneapolis Photographic Society and one other club. Forget right now which one it was, but it's been around a while. Just glad to see all you young folks getting out in this weather. It's kind of a larger crowd than I expected, given the weather. And be careful on the way home, because I notice on the way up here there's a lot of spare body parts of cars on the road. We'll get right into it. Try to keep it short and concise and get you out of here on time. Now, I'm sure they're going to show up here a little bit different than I saw them on my screen at home, but sharing some.
I hope you guys don't mind that bar. I can't move it out of the way. I don't know. Is that all right?
Most of the time, I probably won't be covering an important part of the image, but okay. This great horned owl is found it to be very well lit, very sharp. Bird is posed nicely with like the nice intense stare in his eyes, like he's interacting with the photographer. The background is adequately blurred. The thing I would do is maybe there's a little bright, it doesn't show up on there. A little bright leaves down in the bottom right-hand corner. Maybe burn those in a little bit. They kind of distract the eye. And other than that, it's pretty well done. Next.
Score?
Oh, no, the score, 10. Okay, and the dolphin. You know, water looks a little blurrier here than it did on my screen. It's sharp. It's good depth of field. Like when the background kind of fades off in focus. Good subject placement. He's looking at you, kind of interacting with the photographer again. The only thing I find kind of negative about it is that the tones in the water and the dolphin kind of are close together, so he kind of gets lost in there a little bit. Maybe brighten up the dolphin a little bit more, and the top of the frame is kind of a little bit too dark. I think it goes, you know, wouldn't have to be that dark to just keep the dolphin separated. So this gets a little top heavy that way. Okay, next. Oh, 8. And the Harlequin duck. I think square format works pretty well on this. Might be a little bit close in, but it works pretty well in a square format. The duck is very sharp, and with the exposure on the duck, he stands out very well from the background. Just enough of a background blur to separate. The only thing I think I could do to improve this maybe is darken down the water on the bottom below his feet there and going off in the left-hand corner, help hold you in. Maybe a little bit on the right lower right corner too, but otherwise well done. Next. That's a 9, sorry. You're forgetting that. 9. Yep. Hummingbird. This one's got a really good shutter speed, captured the motion of the wings while the body is still mostly still. Format is good. I love the framing of it. The format size is just enough that a flower is showing to put them into place with it. You wouldn't need more than that. Tells the story with just that. Exposure is very well done. Perfect. Could be just a little bit sharper, especially the head of the bird. Otherwise, very nice. And maybe a slight vignette around it too to help hold them in. Kind of big on vignetting the edges, not enough where you really, it's not noticeable, but when I was school, I learned you just a slight vignette on the edge keeps your eyes from just bleeding off of the frame. Yeah, next. That's a 9. Aaron. Morning snack. Timing, it was very good. I just, well, we just popped it up there with it. Subject angle is very good. You get the whole profile of the bird and you can see what's in that tadpole that's in his mouth there pretty well. So it tells the whole story. I like that he's got 1 foot up. You notice it wasn't real sharp. It looked like it maybe cropped in real tight to bring it up or something. So it's maybe just over enlarging of it or could be quality of the lens or whatever. It could also use a slight vignette and maybe burning down that log on the bottom that's a little bit bright. So that one, we gave that one a 7. Mainly because of the focus, technical quality of it. Next. This one, I love this one. It's got a lot of impact. The color harmony between the dark blues and the warmer tones and the clouds work well. And exposures really well. It's sharp all the way through. And the compositional elements work very well together. You've got a foreground with that large chunk of ice, and then a medium ground with all the other chunks of ice, and then a background with the clouds and stuff that gives you a nice 3D feeling to it, nice depth to it. Shutter speed is very good for the water, giving those streaks in the water that adds more compositional elements. I give that one a 10. Yeah, I love that one. Next. Brown bear. Having lunch. Good capture of the timing, the camera angle with the head turn just a little bit, which helps kind of bring your eye back around. You see his head and you kind of follow the fish around and you come back up around his back and stay in the frame that way. Might be cropped just a little bit too tight. It could have a little bit more to give him more of a sense of place, but it's sharp. Exposure is very good. Sharpening on it, I don't know, maybe it's from the sharpening, but it's almost to a grunge point. Hairs are so sharp on it and stuff like that, it's almost look like it's maybe a bit much, I don't know. Gave that one a 10 also. And next. Dragon Borealis. Good title, because I actually, with that title, I could see that there is a dragon in there. So it's good composition. The exposure is good. Focus is good. Not sure if the color intensity is natural or not, or if it was more intense than that. I preferably like to see a little bit more intensity in the colors in there, a little more saturated, but there's another one that comes up later that does have more color saturation, but could be the way it was. One thing I noticed that on the left edge there's a repeat. Left half inch, you see the same star and it's a sharp line there. I don't know what caused that, but something, I don't know if that was printed or copied from a print or. Could be.
What color is the sky in your work? Yeah.
Yeah. So give that one an 8. Yeah, next. Collared Arcari. Okay, now that one, that bar's in the way. Excuse me. Good pose. I like them on his perch. Good complementary colors with the background. Some of the background hot spots look like they've been burned down a little bit. Could go down just a little bit more maybe, but they're down a little bit so they're not just glaring at you anyway. The top of the beak could be burned down a little bit as well, a little bit more. It's kind of blown out where there's no color left in the top of the beak. Bird could be sharpened a little bit, especially the top of the beak, the top of the head and stuff like that. The belly feathers are fairly sharp, especially just above the leg there. But some of the others, they just kind of lost a little bit. And maybe due to lack of contrast in the black areas. Find the crop a little bit tight, especially on the top. And especially where his legs are cropped down like that, it looks like he's kind of ducking in the frame, keeping from bumping his head up there. But they're just a little, I prefer a little bit more room around them. If you got the room, if there's something there that was distracting, so you had to crop it off, that's what you have to do. But give that one an 8. Red dragonfly. Nice, almost macro. Exposure and colors on the dragonfly are very good. Focus is very good. Good subject placement. And the format for it is very good, the way it's framed, size. One thing I think that is very distracting is the leaf on the lower right there. It's so bright that it burned that in pretty good. Background might be just a little bit too dark. It might be better see some of that green colors coming through a little bit. Almost looks like it's on black velvet or something, and it's done in the studio, but otherwise very good. I gave that one a 9. And all this is, a lot of this is my personal preferences, how I would, like to see them, but everybody has their own taste. Cascade Falls. This one, the exposure I found to be very good. The focus is good. I love the framing of the tree branches, framing the photo. The one thing I find distracting a little bit is that foreground rock there. It's pretty large in the frame when it's a waterfall, and the waterfall is kind of cut off by that rock. I'd like to see more of a continuation of the falls, which would mean you'd have to move over a little bit, which might be difficult. If I remember right, there's a little lookout area over right there, and probably usually crowded with people, so might be the only spot you could get at the time. But that big rock just kind of dominates the picture, I think. Otherwise, very nice. I gave that one an 8. Next, eagle. Shutter speed was good to stop the motion of the bird. Left the wings and everything sharp. Looks like it's probably shadowed from underneath, and you had to lighten the bottom of the wings quite a bit. You still have separation from the sky, which is good. Even the tail feathers have separation from the sky, didn't blend in, but by lightening the underside, you kind of lost some of the contrast in it. Just being all dark, it loses the contrast. So could have maybe tried to boost the contrast in the feathers underneath just a little bit. Maybe it helped a little bit, but still got to give that an 8. Next, Shangri-La. Like this photo, the sharpness of the buck is very good. Dense focus on it where all around it is out of focus. Just that one plane of focus right there is good. He's well exposed, well posed. I mean, it's perfect pose. Looks like a nice 10-point puck, a good size. So the placement of the frame is very good. Vignette and the dark bushes in the back behind him and a little bit in the lower right corner helps keep your eye on the buck without dragging your eye outside of the frame, which would happen if it was all bright on that side. The tree on the left, not sure if I like that in there so heavy, and maybe crop partly into that tree so that whole grassy side, this side of it is off. Might help balance a little bit better. It's a little bit heavy, so it weighs heavier than the buck, weight-wise. So, but other than that, it's beautiful. I gave that one a 9. The other thing, if you were not entering it into wildlife, I don't know if you can go back to that one once, but here's more of a pictorial thing. This one branch extending from the bottom of the tree up towards the buck, curved. If you could clone that out, if you're going to use it for something other than a wildlife photo, I think would really improve the photo. It's kind of distracting for the buck, but okay, next. A wood stork, very sharp, very well exposed. Interesting that he's kind of, fluffing his feathers there a little bit. It's nice that the background is blurred, so it does not detract or interfere with the bird itself. Again, the crop is maybe a little tight for my preferences, a little tight on the top again, and maybe on the bottom. A little bit more room. You could put a little slight vignette all the way around to help, enclose the frame a little bit. I gave that one a 9. Overall, I found the quality of most of these pictures in here to be very nice, very well done. It says a lot for the club. That was a 9. Next. Okay. Dewdrops on a web. On this is interesting. It's very, very sharp. Exposure is very good. You can even see the silk. And just the shape of it, when you look at the shape of the silky lines and they follow, it looks like a stick insect. To me, you got the legs going down and the tail going out the back and the head with one huge eye in it, a little antennae going up and the proboscis going down. One thing I might do is crop off the bottom 2 drips on it would be that proboscis to keep them from going out of the frame and being right on the edge of the frame. But otherwise, it's very good. I give that one a 10. Next. Yep. Yellowstone. Like this one, I found composition to be very nice. I like the placement of the bison in there. The colors work very well together, and sharpness is pretty good. Other than, it's not real sharp everywhere, but it's okay. Other than on the bison, maybe because he's enlarged too much, he goes kind of soft. Could be maybe because he was backlit too, so lightening him up made him go a little bit soft. So he could be sharper. And overall, the image quality kind of suffered from the sharpness, but I think it'd be, if it's sharp, it'd be a great wall print. I mean, love that colors and they work together. Because of the sharpness stuff and image quality, I gave that one a 7. Next. That one tells the story of, it's raining, you better get underneath my wings here for protection. It's good pose of the bird, pretty sharp other than the motion blur from the flapping of the wings. Little guy gets lost there a little bit, but well, it's pretty good. The exposure is good. The format for it is good. Placement of the bird tells a story. I think a little bit of a vignette around that one also would help to hold them in place. Give that one a 8. Next. Bull moose. Another very well done picture. Moose is sharp throughout, very well exposed. The blur in the background and the darkness back there helps keep your eye on the moose. It gives it a feeling of depth also. And I would give that one a 10. Not much you can do to prove that. Next. Marbled godwit. It's very sharp. I love to pose the wings up like that. Going to have some implied motion, but yet the shutter speed caught the wings stopped. Format is good for it too. There's enough room around them to keep them in there, but yet he's got a little bit of room to breathe. The one thing I noticed, there might be some sensor spots on there. One just below his tail on the back, and then there's like 3 dots over on the right. They could be water spots on the lens as well. And just a slight vignette might help that also. Next, I give that one a 9. Or no, I mean where is it? Yeah, a 9. Yep. Next, young egret, great egret. Focus is good. The exposure is very good. I like the framing with the leaves. Background is nice and blurred, out of focus, and the ones in foreground are kind of out of focus too, which is good. But I'd burn down maybe some of those highlights a little bit more in the foreground, and again put a light vignette around it. I gave that one a 9. Next. Big Fork sunrise. Another beautiful landscape. The picture. Love the leading lines taking you into the picture. Exposure is good. The vignette is good. It helps draw your viewer in. Also gave this one a 10. And this one you could almost have 2 pictures out of here. You could crop it about 2/3 of the way up and have a nice horizontal picture too, and then make a great picture as well. And you'd still have some leading lines leading into towards the bridge back there. So that was a 9 again. Next. Oh, no, that was a 10. That was a 10. Whispering Cascade. Great shutter speed on this one to give you that nice milky water over the Cascades. Exposure is good. One thing that's always difficult on these, I find when I'm doing something like this, is where do you crop it off? Because you always got some water going off the sides here or there or out somewhere, and you don't really want that water looking like it's running out of the frame. What would help that in this case is, again, a little vignetting on the side. I mean, overall, you did pretty good at holding it in. There's just a couple spots on the side. But just darkening those down a little bit would lessen the appearance of them going off the frame and hold your eye in there. Same with a little bit on the bottom. I gave that one a 9. Next. Antelope Canyon. Wonderful place to visit. Wonderful place to photograph. Kind of magical. This one's very nice. I like the curves and the angles that photographer captured here, and use of those curves and the darkness in the opposite corners, which helps intensify the curves and the angles, the colors differences between the 2 of them. Hold you right in that spot instead of heading out either way. I like the thin white line border around it as well. Kind of helps separate it, being it's so dark that it separates from the black screen. And I think it's very well done. I give that one a 10. Next. a lot. Strange critters. But this one's got impact. When it pops up on that screen, it's sharp and his face is right there and it just, all the detail on his hair and stuff, it just adds impact. I mean, right away. The focus is great, the exposure is great, the background blur helps keep you in the front of the picture on his face. Thing I would maybe do is burn down the fur on the right side of that leaf. That's just a little bit bright, and you could even crop it a little bit if you wanted, but that darken that down and help hold you in on his face. Gave that one a 9. Next. Autumn vibes. It's a nice abstraction of nature. Got everything blurred, but there's enough in the greens there that looks like there's a hint of the detail of it being sharp. It's like tops of grasses or something. Almost look like the grass seeds. Kind of reminds me of, I believe it was a Canadian photographer, Freeman Patterson, that back in the 60s and 70s did a lot of abstract motion pictures like this and had them in his books. Kind of has a nice fine art feel. I like how the top is darker and the bottom is just a little bit darker than the center, so it's almost divided in thirds. All the colors work good in harmony, nicely exposed, good contrast, blurred with hints of the detail, just really makes the picture. I gave that one a 10. Next. Superior Shoreline. I'm guessing you're somewhere up, getting close to Grand Portage. Nice composition, exposure is good, focus is good. Interest good. I like the interest in the clouds and the curves that it makes. The only thing I'd do maybe to improve it is to burn down those leaves on the lower part of the picture where you just got the tops of the trees there. They're kind of bright, and if you tone those down and maybe a little bit on that right side, it would help draw you into the picture more. A little slight vignette there. And I gave that one a 9. And next. Everybody hear me okay? Okay. And my voice doesn't carry real well, so I have to watch that. Northern Lights, compared to that other one that we had earlier, you'd see the color is a lot more vibrant in this one and more saturated. It's good color saturation, good exposure. The base framing might be just a little bit heavy. You could take a little bit off the bottom yet. And maybe that right side, it's all black anyway, so you don't see much other than the texture of the trees and shape of the trees. So maybe a little bit less of that, more of the sky. I give that one a 9. Next. Similar to the 1-3 back, the abstract. I like this one as well. It's good, sharp, good use of colors and tones, good exposure. And this one, unlike the other one, I'm not sure if those two bright gray streaks on the right add or detract. They add contrast, it draws your eye over there, but on the other hand, it kind of distracts from the rest of the left side of the picture. That weighs just a little bit heavy on that side, maybe takes off some of the balance. So could maybe tone those down a little bit, but personal preference. I give that one a 9. Next, both of those abstracts I could see hanging large frame, on a wall somewhere about the size of that, or if it's Osprey. Good exposure, good focus, good timing of taking the picture, catching some action there, tells the story. I would maybe like to see the rest of that harassing bird up there. I assume it's maybe a blackbird, but they like to harass. Maybe burn in, tone down that pipe a little bit. That's a little bit bright. And put a little vignette around it. Maybe improve the picture. I gave that one a 9. Next. Reflections. Another abstract in nature. It's very peaceful. Something you've maybe seen in a dentist office, something hanging on the wall to relax you. And that could use like, just a slight vignette around the edges, just to darken them just a little bit, keep you in there. But it's right for commercial usage. You could even, something you maybe see words of wisdom put in there or something like that, or a message of some sort. I gave that one an 8. Next. Another hummingbird of the long-tailed sylph variety. Unusual bird, we don't get those up here. It's a good pose, good placement in the format there in a frame. Background's blurred nicely, but again, it's I don't know if it's over enlarged or just taken like with a phone or something, but the image quality suffers a bit from it. It's not really sharp anywhere, and that could be, like I say, for maybe over enlarging. Might be cropped just a little bit too tight also, but give that one a 7. Next. There's a little dragonfly porn here, mating dragonflies. It's very sharp, tells a story, it's great exposure. Background is nicely plain and helps separate the dragonflies from the background. The colors of the seaweed it looks like the seaweed on fish line, helps contrast and works very nicely with the green that's in the dragonflies. They work well together. The only thing that improves is maybe a slight vignette on this one as well. Gave that one a 10 as well. That's it. That's it.
Back. All right. All right, we're just gonna go through the 8s, starting with Michael Sweet, Dolphin.